I have some other stuff going on. I'm actually just, okay, I'm not going to stream on Saturday. So I'm not going to stream on Saturday. Then Sunday, I am going to be on an aeroplane. So I will not be streaming on Sunday either. And then it's the DreamHack Season Finals. So, yes, basically we're streaming for the next 5 days. And then we'll be gone for about a week. And we'll come back. And we will stream pretty much every day from there, apart from the days that TSL is on, pretty much. Because there's just a lot of StarCraft happening. There's loads of events, loads of tournaments. It's a great time to be a StarCraft fan, I have to say. Top left, our red Protoss player from Alpha X is Zoun. Bottom right, our blue Zerg is Dark from Dragon Phoenix Gaming. As we kick off into map 1 of, like I say, this best of 5 series. Should be kind of fun. I feel like this should be a fun little time for us here. Zoun actually can do okay against Dark, has done okay against Dark in the past, has won some series against him, even some larger ones. While I think a lot of people obviously just favor Dark off name value alone, can't count out Zoun in the modern day, I would say. He is a very good player. He's got some good strats, his Sky Toss is strong. He's got, a couple of ways to mix up the series as well and to do some different builds. That's always very cool to see. So there we go. Hey Wardy, fairly new to watching StarCraft. Is it always as busy as it's been the last month? I wouldn't say as busy, but yeah, StarCraft actually is. There's almost always something to watch because, okay, right now it's busy because there's a lot of main tournaments and major events going on. And honestly, that's kind of pretty true a lot of the time anyway. But even if there's not, there's a lot of community stuff going on as well. So I would say yes, the last couple of months have been kind of crazy just because there's been so many qualifiers, DreamHack was wrapping up, etc. Yeah, honestly, I would kind of say yes. Usually it quietens down like a couple weeks before Katowice because everyone's prepping for Katowice. Sometimes a couple weeks after Katowice, but then, like I say, there's always like a community tournament happening or something, and you know what I mean? It really is kind of always... I don't know, it's hard to say exactly, right? Like, I would say it's always busy. Maybe as busy as this, maybe not. Because right now it feels like there is StarCraft 24/7. Usually it's a little bit quieter at the very least, I suppose, but not to the point where it's like... My point is, it's like, I wouldn't say it's ever quiet, you know? There's always still a tournament to watch. There's always still something to follow, you know? So, you know what I mean? Like... In a way, like it's maybe this is probably the busiest it gets, because right now you literally can't fit in any more StarCraft 2. It also depends what you want to watch, because if you're not really interested in watching community stuff, you just want to watch like your TSLs, your GSLs, your Asus ROGs, your DreamHacks, then yes, it does get quieter after Katowice for sure, and before Katowice. But if you don't mind watching the community tournaments, like, you know... I mean, people are saying spring was kind of quiet this year. In spring, we had... I'm going to say spring is like, say, April or so. Well, say for March. In March, we did WardiTV Winter Championship, Stay at Home Story Cup. We launched the Spring Championship. That happened all the way throughout April. We had the World Team League every single week, 3 days a week. Yes, and then we had Next as well at the end of April into May. And we also had TSL qualifiers for TSL starting up at the back end of spring, at the start of summer. And that was also in the build-up to DreamHack as well. So, I mean, no, I mean, it was kind of busy, guys. Yeah, I mean, spring, late April, we had days where we were doing two qualifiers a day and a European Cup and also our own stuff. Yeah, spring was crazy, guys. I don't agree. Like, yes, okay, there's maybe not as many of your DreamHacks and your big Premier events, but there's still a lot going on. There's still a lot of actual tournaments happening, you know? Spring would be what for watching individual player streams. I mean, it just really depends what you want. Like I say, if you want to watch a tournament stream, I would say there's almost always tournaments going on. It just depends what level of tournament. Anyway, great question. Hopefully my rambling and lack of a clear-cut answer for a long time helps a little bit as we do see this Disruptor shot comes in. As a Ravager gets picked off and the Queen just going to push the Prism away for the moment. A whole bunch of Lings and Roaches coming through as Dark. Basically prepping to deal with this opening of Zoun. Now, Zoun drops a Forge in the main base. This is one Colossus starts up as well. This is, of course, not quite your norm from Zoun. Oh my god, you're kidding me. Okay. So, every time Zoun does this build, it's usually one we talk about, right? Because, look, it's a, you know, it's one of the funkier builds. It's kind of like a Zoun special, and it's something he's done for a long time. This game, I get carried away and talk to chat, right? And the last few times I've cast him, I've been like, well, you guys, this can be a 2-base all-in, but sometimes Zoun switches it up and makes a 3rd base, which gets cancelled here. And it's like, so that is a variation he's used every now and again, and it kind of tricks his opponent. They think it's a 2-base all-in, but then there's a 3rd, and then they're in a bit of trouble, right? And this time I don't say anything, and he makes the freaking 3rd base! Oh my goodness, I'm tilted at myself, but, well, the 3rd base goes down. He still wants to go for kind of really, like, a longer game here, because you can see he drops the Twilight, he builds a 2nd Colossus, starts Thermal Lance, so he will try and retake this 3rd. This is not the 2-base all-in variation. As Dog did take a chance to build a few drones, now building a few more units, techs up into his lair, and looks towards the future. I can't believe it. Honestly, like, the last 5 times I've casted him, I must have mentioned this build, this variation. Never did it. I even joked about it, how I was, like, saying it all the time, and it never happened. And now it's actually happening, and I didn't talk about it. Oh, I am such a tit. Today is one of those days where it's like, hey, let's troll Wardy. It's like, hey, you guys know what would be fun if Wardy was just saying wrong things, we don't get into games, you know, games start, and he has to go see the postman at the door, like... Oh my goodness. Alright, there's a ton of units from Dark. He is not droning heavily at all. I think he's still afraid of the push, but I don't think this push is going to come, right? Like, okay, you don't necessarily need a lot more drones right now as Dark, because your opponent hasn't got a lot of workers himself. I feel like Dark probably could have gotten away with a lot more workers. We'll see if Zoun really pushes, but he shouldn't, right? Not until Blinken +1. It would be nonsensical to attack before then. I imagine after this round of gateways, we are going to start probe production so we can really get this 3rd base saturated. Yeah, so he was cutting probes a little bit because A, the 3rd wasn't finished, so it wasn't fully effective, and B, you can still build those probes and just get the saturation immediately, but he wanted to prioritize getting his gateway count up so that he has the baseline production at least to kind of continue into a good position in this game. And Dark is still just adding like 5 drones, then going into a lot more Roach Ravager production. I don't know how much I like this, because at the moment this is going to be one of those setups where, I mean, honestly, I don't think you can get aggressive, really. It is a very open 3rd base. You can come in from here, here, and here, and while, you know, each of these are individual chokes, overall it's a pretty large arc. It's going to be seeing our Prism around the right-hand side, and a couple of Disruptors moving along over there as a few Lings run in. They're going to aim for the mineral line, but of course not much going to be gained there. And they get pushed back as you bring the War Prism down the right side. And there goes a couple Disruptor shots, landing a couple of hits. So far, so good. As our Tunneling Claws comes up, our Burrow gets going, and our +1 missile upgrade also coming in off the Evolution Chamber. Nice network building in the corner of this base from Dark as well. It's just getting that rolling as we do see this Roach Ravager army figuring out where it wants to go. Out to the left-hand side, we're going to come pushing through and getting rid of a good bit of creep spread so far as well. So a lot of creep coming through at the moment, and just going to be seeing this hallucination chilling out overhead and keeping a track of this. We are going to be seeing again our Nidus finishing, and that will be where Dark tries to up the ante a little bit and get the aggression going his way. I mean, I feel like now Dark is in a really tough spot, because now I feel like he's just been spamming so much Roach Ravager, but on such a low work account. Like, imagine, I really believe he could have easily gone to even this work account much faster, but I really feel like he could have gone to like 75, 80 workers and still had a comparable army, because he was just so afraid of this attack for so long. And I think that's the problem, is that he was afraid of the attack for so long that now we're actually having this attack happen. He's actually not been as prepped, because this attack is much larger than he was ever originally expecting it to be. Zoun is just going to recall back and deal with these Niduses. We actually see some burrowed roaches, but yeah, detection is available, and the Disruptor shot good to actually clean them up. This is a little bit weird, though, because now you've recalled everything into the main base, so now Dark's going to get position on your very open 3rd. I feel like that's a little bit awkward. Let's see what we can do here. The Disruptor's coming down this ramp. The Corrosive Bowels will connect once or twice, but nothing major. As you do see, the feelings up here just getting taking some damage. The Burrow comes through. Dark's still just playing a low drone count. So what Dark can do is obviously have a lot of army and take a lot of aggressive fights on this map, and that's fine. Where I do worry for Dark is that in doing so, he doesn't have a lot of rebuild potential. So if he takes some bad fights and he loses his army, then rebuilding is going to be tough because he just doesn't build in a bank as much as he usually would or as quickly as he usually would be. And already this is his 4th base just going down. Now he might get the 3rd of his opponent because Zoun is obviously just evacuating this. So Zoun is committed to pushing through. And this is going to get interesting because maybe Dark has enough of a bank to make this be okay and to replace what he's losing as it happens at the moment. So the shot straight into the Ravagers. Big connection. I mean, those are expensive as well. 3 Ravagers, 300 gas down the drain. This 3rd base taking heavy hits. 22 Roaches rebuilding already. Zoun is going to get this hatchery. So, oh, not just yet. He kind of wants to stay here as well, though, because he wants to try and get some of these Roaches as they finish, right? That would be nice. Roaches are setting up for the counter as this Prism is needing to get out of warping mode and just get into movement mode so it can actually dodge away from Biles. Just Roaches on the left-hand side, by the way, as the Disruptor does a great job of zoning out to the right. Blinks on top of the units on the left-hand side as well. You can see where Zoun's supply is really coming through at the moment. The Disruptor is able to zone very well. The rest of the army is able to trade in the smaller trades. Oh, wow, this is going very well for Zoun at the moment. And Zoun is the player with the money in the bank at the moment. Has been supply blocked for a long time, so hasn't really been able to spend it, but should be able to start sending warpins in now. The Ravagers went to the top side to get the Prism, but they didn't actually get the Prism, and Dark is going to type GG. Zoun wins. Every time he does this build variation where he does the 3rd base, he wins with it, because a 1-0 lead for Zoun. Our red Protoss bottom left-hand corner of the map in the red from Alpha X. Let's see if he can keep this up and qualify to TSL on his first attempt. In the top right, our blue Zerg looking to retaliate will be Dark. It's a pretty fun first game overall, right? Just gonna steal someone's camera for a few moments, guys. Disruptor shots were sick. Yeah, they really were. What's up, just disappointed? How you doing, mate? Yeah, cool first game. Cool start to the series. I'm excited about it. Excited to see what happens going into our next map and so on. The build that Zoun just used is the sort of build which he typically uses once in a series and doesn't really use twice. I do wonder if he would do the 2-base variation now, instead of the 3-base variation. Kind of intrigued to see what happens. Peg says that Zoun probably has the best PvZ in the world, especially late game. Would I agree with that? I don't think so. I think Zoun can have a lot of ups. The problem with Zoun for me is that he's just so inconsistent. And one day he can look great, but the next day he can look like, the next day he can really flop. I think Zoun really benefits from just being a player that does have a couple of builds that no one else is really using anywhere near as much. I think that definitely goes a long way to helping him have some success in PvZ, such as that Robo build. And then just being able to switch it up. So that part of it, I definitely think is scary. Having a couple builds like that not a lot of other people are doing is very, is something we worried about. Let me have a look at his ZvP results. Nope, I just pressed Protoss. I want Zerg. I mean, he lost his Vanya in TSL. I don't know what. I didn't realize he played the TSL NA qualifier. He beat Reyno, he beat Sola. He's actually been on a bit of a streak in PvZ. You see, I feel like he's been on a streak in PvZ. I would love to see him play against, like, Serral or somebody, though, because, he went 1-2 in the season finals. He didn't look good against Serral in the season finals. The only map he won, Serral actually just could have clicked a pylon and he would have won the game in 2-0'd. And otherwise, Serral just looked great. Then in the GSL, he went 1-2 DRG, 0-2 Rogue. That was just in September. I think best ZvP in the world, or PvZ in the world, is pushing it. He's definitely been on a good streak lately. But I feel like he's been on a good streak versus players who haven't been quite as impressive in the first place. So I don't know. I just feel like late game, especially though, Trap really has some really good late game PvZ. Like, I would maybe argue that you could maybe say Zoun is maybe a bit better mid game or so, but Trap is so good late game. He's on another level for sure. I don't know. I always feel like saying best in the world is something which is very hard to do because these guys play so many tournaments. Some they play a bit more with a different mindset to others. It's really hard to put like a judgment on them in that kind of regard, right? And to really be like, oh yeah, like, you know what I mean? I feel like it's really difficult to kind of be, to kind of make those calls. And there's just so many good players. And it also feels like sometimes it can change week by week as well, you know? Now, if Zoun shows up and throws Dark, then I guess we'll see. He's going to play Glaives the second game, so already playing a little bit aggressively here for map 2. Waiting a while before we start to bring out the Stargate builds. Is Dark going to play a melee upgrade? And Bane Nest. This is a little scary against Adepts, but against what Zoun is doing, where it's one Stargate into Twilight and there's no Robo, I actually kind of like it for Dark, and here is why. Because in this situation, Dark is going to end up playing against basically a one wave of Adepts, and there's not going to be reinforcements. So his first set of Banelings can help deal with that wave of Adepts, force them to split up, Lings get surround, and it's just done. Usually the problem is when you play melee upgrade against, like, say, like a 4-gate Glaives opener, and you play Ling Bane, is you do that, you win against the first round, but there's more Adepts warping in. Now, there's no more Adepts that are going to warp in here this time. And so, for that, I actually kind of think this is going to be okay for Dark, and he should have a good time. Zoun is going to drop another Stargate behind this, and we'll see what exactly he wants his follow-up to be, whether he wants to play double Stargate Phoenix. Sometimes people do that after Adepts, or if he is just going to start churning out Void Rays. As here come our Adepts, they just shaded, and they are on creep. Dark had a lot of Lings building so far. He's got 43 on the map, in fact, and he does have Banes, which he wants to try and hide until the Adepts are committed to their shade. They are not going to commit just yet. In fact, they're going to run out over this side. The Lings are going to run in. A Stasis Ward is going to make this a little bit awkward. The Stasis Ward goes off. A lot of the Lings get caught, in honesty. And these Adepts are shading out of this. They will back away. Dog doesn't take too much damage. That's the most important part of this, I would say. As one Void Ray gets pushed back. Now we're building a Robo. We haven't used the Stargate stall, and I'm a little bit worried for Zoun. It feels like he's not actually building anything. He's massively supply blocked. And Dark is setting up a Nidus to potentially just go, what, like Ling Bane Queen Nidus attack? Adding on extra Queens to make sure he has something in case Zoun has been building Void Rays, which I think would have been the intention if he hadn't been supply blocked so badly. Now Zoun is losing Adepts without doing anything at all, and this feels as though it's going badly a little bit. Adepts pulling back, a couple additional Voids coming through, but that's what the Queens are going to be here to help with. And you don't even need a Nidus somewhere particularly aggressive. You can just Nidus out the front here and do very well with that. He's going to Nidus off to the left-hand side. That works. Like I say, anything that can just bring the Queens into the fight on a third base or so quickly. A lot of Adepts warping in to help out, but of course, Banelings are going to force those Adepts to split away, and they're just going to cause problems. The moment these Adepts split away, they're going to be surroundable, and that's going to be where you have a lot of issues, because these Lings are going to have a field day with +1 melee, full surrounds. It's not even a fair fight, as we're going to be seeing. Well, again, here come the Queens. Using the Nidus can actually just get you the creep here a little bit faster as well. And right now, Zoun is taking a lot of damage. Transfusions available, so this Nidus can be kept alive as well if required. And at the very least, this third is going down, and Dark is already droning behind it. Gonna morph a ton more Banelings in, as you can't transfuse a building Nidus, of course. These Queens are already on the front of the natural now, and I feel like we're just going to Ling Bane bust our way into the natural as well. If he busts through the natural and you take down the static defense, and these Void Rays obviously can't do much. He just lost the sentry to the Queens as well. And Super Battery is already active as well, so now you just back off, wait for Super Battery to fade, and then we're just going to go for this, and this is going to be a complete and utter disaster, I think, for Zoun. He is going to be able to get that force field down. Well, that's not bad, don't get me wrong. He's going to start just busting through the Cybercore. That sentry was a fresh warp in, Couple cannons finishing up. Can they actually help enough as these Lings are going to go for the gateway? Just wants to open the wall and make it a little bit easier for everything else to move through. I believe it's only this. Okay, there's a double pylon supporting this wall at the front or supporting these structures. Voids kind of being sniped down. Shield battery is running out of energy, and that's the biggest issue of all, is a few Zealots on the ground are doing well also. Here comes another round of Ling Bane moving forward here. These Banes are going to crush through the stack defense, and there is the GG as Dark does take game number 2. Tying it up 1-1 with this aggression. Bottom right-hand corner, our Red Protoss player is Zoun as we get into a third map here, tied up 1-1. And at the moment, look as though we're getting a chance to go the distance in this best of 5. Zoun looking to recover after that little bit of a bust last time around. Top left is our blue Zerg from Dragon Phoenix Gaming. It is Dark as we get this up and ready to go. We'll set up into this game 3 and see how things will get going here. I've just already seen a hatchery forced to the third location. This map has been really interesting just because the gold base has created a lot of interaction and a lot of intrigue, for me at least. I really came into this map pool saying this map is one I don't want to cast ZvP on. I think it's always going to be long and macro, and I just don't want to watch all that, you know, like, you know, for me, like, that's not the fun part of ZvP, right? And I feel like this map really has the chance, so I felt like this map really had the chance to bring out the worst in PvZ, and maybe in the future it will. But because you've got a full kind of 8 mineral patch gold base, it's actually created a lot of fights around that gold base. There's been a lot of fights around the gold, there's been a lot of action there, and I feel like that's actually made this very interesting map to watch, because then we've seen a few builds come around that you wouldn't usually see because of that gold base as well, and it being taken so frequently. People have seen it a lot, so they're getting a good idea what they want to do about it and stuff. It's been kind of fun to watch, actually. It's been very fun to watch, so I take back everything bad I said about it to begin with. I'm still waiting for it to be proven correctly maybe at some point, but for now it's been kind of fun. It's going to be seen. Our Stargate is already coming through. Stargate, I'll finish up from Zoun. I mean, this is the map to me where you absolutely just play a Stargate into second Stargate, Voids from the get-go, and you just play Skytoss. So, you know, with what I've just said being true, you know, I still believe that's the way to play this. And then maybe you do something funky if your opponent takes the goal and you work around that, etc. So yeah, I feel like you just set up for the Skytoss initially and then you kind of go from there. There's going to be seeing a few drones, Oracle. All of this getting set up initially as we do have our gateway coming through and our Nexus dropping down on the third base location, so everything looking pretty tidy for the moment, right? Nothing to really get crazy about, nothing really to lose our minds over just yet. Just so far so good, I would say. This Oracle comes through and gets 6 workers. The Oracle already having a pretty good start here, doing a good amount of damage. There's a few queens marching across the map. This is just going to be a really quick, what, like Ling Queen all in?
Much quicker than usual on a map that you wouldn't expect this on.
Dark is already going to be up against all of this stack defense that's built, and the Zoun has figured it out, so... Well, I mean, the interesting thing is there's not going to be a lot of units from Zoun, but obviously Dark is really going to have this one time, and then this time will be do or die, because it's so early in the game that there's not going to be like, oh, you can do okay, but then you can follow up. No, you must basically win the game with this attack, because it's just so committed from Dark, especially on the back of losing those drones to that Oracle. Batteries are finishing, trying to wait for the additional queens here. Zarling's going to try and run in as well. What do they want to run in onto? I feel like you just want to run in and surround the Adepts if you can, because that's going to help you to drain the battery energy, and that's going to give you maybe the best chance of working something out here. We start a Baneling nest, so we're going to go Banelings here eventually too. Okay, maybe just Banes bust down the stack defense. Will help against the Adepts as well in some scenarios. Can you wait for the Banelings before you really commit to a fight? Maybe. I mean, if Zoun believes that Dark is somewhat going home right now, then and maybe Zoun, I mean, you can see building 3 probes at a time, not building additional stack defense. If Zoun truly believes this is over, Voids are leaving as well. Oh, wow, he really does believe it's over for now. Okay, now he sees the units moving back in. The Void should turn back around. Of course, I mean, you can still morph the Banes up in a safe position. Queen's actually going to do good damage there because there's no battery nearby, so the Void's already taken a few shots they don't want to take. Just going to be seeing our Lings and our Queens wanting to make a play. And in we go. So, Danes are finishing up. Here comes the extra cannons and stuff on the stack defense, by the way, but that's what these Banelings are for. Where do the Banelings commit, guys? I think they go right here. I think they just go for the heart of everything. They're going to break through the Adepts. I don't even hate that either, to be fair, but then the stack defense is still up, so there's a super battery. There are a lot of Zerglings, and they are going to try and help against this stack defense as well. Targeting down the super battery right now. It's getting low. It's going to die maybe just around the time it was going to fade out of energy anyways. Looks as though the Lings are working on other things. Looks like there's too many Adepts, and it looks as though this attack of Dark is going nowhere. 2 cannons still alive. I think the stack defense was the play on the Banelings, not the Adept. But then how do you hit the stack defense? Because there was extra stack defense in front, so the Banes would have had to go into that. The batteries would have still been around. The Adepts were blocking from the other side. I feel like Dark actually had his hand forced in terms of what he had to do there, in terms of what he had to commit his Banelings onto. And because his hand was forced, it was just not really the right decision. It did not set him up very well at all. Moba Bay coming up, just going to be seeing our Void Rays of Zoun away up the left-hand side. Few queens coming up, Void Rays taking some damage, few drones going down at the moment. Just going to be seeing how Zerglings are making their way around, getting set up. A couple of Banes going to waddle in toward the mineral line, get a couple of worker kills. Those Adepts just getting a little bit of drone damage done again. Here come the Void Rays on the other side. This is over, guys. These Voids are going to get way too much done. The Adepts are already doing too much. I mean, you're already up 20 workers as Zoun. And even if Dark doesn't want to leave just yet, he's going to attempt to get back into it via the gold base. Yeah, kind of a weird one. Like I say, I mean, my question was it worth waiting for the Banelings? I don't think it was. I think you were better off just committing before then, but it's tough because the stack defense is up. Maybe the Banes catch you off guard. Obviously, he did a good job of kind of baiting Zoun into kind of moving out with the Voids, and he just maybe turned around a little bit too soon, and one Void Ray caught the turnaround of those units of Dark, and then all of a sudden, you know, Zoun knows exactly that Dark is still coming for him, and it's just not really... Yeah, that's just not really brilliant, right? Just gonna see how Voids down the bottom side. Oracle is going in after a couple of drones. Another Queen pops out, just gonna get the Oracle kill, which is neat. Zoun just gonna take the 4th base though. I mean, killing the Oracle is a real kind of saving grace sort of thing. It's like, ah, well, you know, I killed an Oracle, I'm good now, right? It's like, no, actually, you're kind of not. I mean, Zoun's going to build up into... I mean, he's got Disruptors, he's got Archons building. Didn't really have an answer to pretty much anything Dark can throw at him before Dark has any of it. Comes up through to the center. I mean, this is just going to be Zoun saying, yeah, I don't respect what you have. I don't believe you can have an army to defend this right now. And I personally agree, but sometimes defensively, obviously, it looks a bit different. Reinforcements pour out. Let's see if Zoun can push through to a victory right now. Got those couple disruptors. They're going to line up for a couple Queens hits initially. That disruptor shot probably would have been better if he didn't force field. The force field almost split the units for Dark. The Protoss micro actually helping the Zerg there for a moment, perhaps, as we do see Dark holding momentarily. I mean, we've got Roaches obviously doing decently, but as more Zealots come through, they are going to tank, and that allows the Archons to just sit there safely and deal damage. Disruptors are off cooldown soon as well, and that's going to be a big difference as well. They're going to get some good shots. And now you can see how Zoun is just going to absolutely push all the way through. There's just going to be seeing another Disruptor shot up to the side. A Roach getting picked off. And we're just going to be seeing GG's Zoun up 2-1. Yeah, guys, sorry. I saw people asking. Zoun leads 2-1 in this best of 5. Only match still going on, by the way. Solar qualifies over Rogue, Bunny qualifies over Dream, and Zest qualifies over Time. So fun set of games. Yeah, real fun set of games. And this is the only matchup still ongoing then. So yeah, with that said, let's go into game number 4 and see if it's going to end after 4 or end after 5. Bottom left looking to take it and qualify to TSL 8. It is our red Protoss player Zoun. And the top right, our blue Zerg player. It is from Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Dark. How on earth can a Zerg come back after this? It's insane. I don't think the Zerg was ever coming back after that. That's probably what happened. You know, while Dark can have like an army supply that looks somewhat competitive, it's just not even similar. Like, he's playing against Void Ray Disruptor Archon, and he has Roaches. He doesn't even have Ravages, you know? The game was over, and, you know, he was going to try, but it's not going to be good. I mean, the idea was if he can take the gold, get the boosted economy, maybe it can save him a little bit, right? But yeah, obviously, it was never really going to happen, and I think that was very apparent and very obvious as we went through that. Overlord heading down the bottom left side. Just going to move along here. Link speed coming up from Dark. Just going to be having our Adept Chrono boosting out a little bit here. And yeah, just kind of getting going. Do you ever feel like this is really the last StarCraft game, or do you think another company will pick up the license to develop / distribute StarCraft 3? This is absolutely the last StarCraft game in the sense of what StarCraft is right now. Everyone that develops RTSs at Blizzard is gone, so it's not going to be an RTS game. If they release another StarCraft, it'll be using the franchise for a different type of game. The thing is, to make a good RTS game, you need people who are very experienced in RTS development, and all of those guys are not at Blizzard. All of those guys are at Frost Giant or Tencent, and they're all making other games outside of Blizzard, so it's just not going to happen. And it makes zero sense to buy the StarCraft license because it's way too expensive instead of just making your own very good game, you know? So yes, I'm pretty sure StarCraft 2 is probably the last StarCraft we're ever going to get. Which, while sad, doesn't mean I mean, honestly, I think StarCraft's still in a great spot. I still think our competitive scene is very good. I still think we have a very good time watching StarCraft. The games are still great. I think the future of RTS is very bright. You know, we had that. We actually had a community summit a little presentation from Frost Giant recently where they invited, you know, some of us to come and see what they'd been working on. Looked fantastic, looked amazing, super hopeful. I mean, honestly, I was never really on the hype for the other RTSs. I didn't want to get my hopes up, but now I kind of do because what they've done already looked amazing. So, I mean, if you're a StarCraft fan, a little sad that maybe it depends what you are. You're a fan of StarCraft because you just like StarCraft as a game, in which case I think you've got reason to be hopeful for other RTSs. You're a StarCraft fan because you just like the StarCraft universe. I feel like that's not a lot of people that are watching the stream right now, but if that's the case, then unfortunately I feel like you might have to be a bit sad. The thing is about StarCraft 2 as well is that I feel like the graphics hold up very well. Like, I feel like when you look at StarCraft 2, like, the game just looks good at least. So you don't have to worry so much as well about it being outdated by graphics even. So that's also a nice thing that we have going. I feel like some games, like, you know, if this was still a Brood War, I feel like Brood War suffers because the game just doesn't look good. And no matter how good the game is, to some people, the game just looking good is a bare necessity of watching. I do think StarCraft 2 just looks good. And that's why I feel like it's like, what do you do in StarCraft 3? If you're just going to copy-paste StarCraft 2 and update the graphics, it's just not going to be any better, you know? So that's why I really think you have to redevelop StarCraft 3. And that's, if you're going to redevelop it, then you just don't have the people to do that, you know? Melee upgrade again here from Dark. A lot of Lings in production right now. He's like, aiming for a cancel on the third base, down on this bottom side. Twilight Council already on the way up from Zoun, so not going to be a huge amount of Void Rays before attacking into other things. Maybe just looking for a few Void Rays into an Archon Immortal Force. There's actually going to be a Bane run by into the third. I think a Ling run by would have done pretty well. The Banes will have a little bit more of an umph effect, a little bit more of an instantaneous kind of factor. As actually, he's got Lings following this up, so if you bust down this shield battery, which he does, then the Lings have a very good chance of getting the Nexus, because now there's going to be no healing on this Nexus, so expensive, because it costs you a lot of Banes, but it is going to be a guaranteed kill. The melee upgrade makes sure of that. Health bar disappears immediately. As we catch a couple of those Adepts, and it looks as though we are just going to grab a couple more probes, and that's going to be 7 workers killed, a third Nexus killed. That's a pretty good start from Dark. That's exactly what you're looking for here with this style. Zoun actually, I mean, started charge, started +1, but actually also starts the Fleet Beacon, so has the Fleet Beacon now coming into play to be a part of this in the next little while. Lings down the right, just gonna see the Void Ray picking off a Ling or so, and another Void Ray in the center, picking away at a few Zerglings, so doing pretty decently in that regard. Just gonna see our Baneling Nest, and our +2 melee, and our +1 Carapace. All of this getting ready to go, as we do have a few Zerglings still being picked away at, so Ling's taking some damage. Now we're just going to be seeing our Void Rays making their way out over to the right-hand side. Flux Veins is on the way as well, so we're going to get that Void Ray speed. And if Dark can deal with the Void Rays, I feel like he's well set up off the start. I mean, obviously, Zoun goes straight to 4th base now, the 3rd is back up, and Queen's defend him again, Pathogen Glance, so we're going to have the Infestors out, so you can drop those Microbial Shrouds. This might be our first real taste of a proper late game between these two. Obviously, the games so far have been ending early to mid-game. This one might actually get into the later stages a little bit, which would be pretty cool. He's just pushing those Void Rays away. Quite a few Zerglings working their way around the right-hand side. We do have the hatchery starting to build in the top left-hand corner as well, so just getting that up and rolling. As our Voids come through, chasing the Lings out of there. And a lot of Banelings morphing in the bottom right corner, so it's coming up already. Oh, the Voids are going to get this hatchery. That's obviously nice. Queen's transfuse. Got one, but the other Queens just kind of stopped dead in their tracks. Didn't quite get there. Well, the counterattack, by the way. This is a disgusting amount of Banelings. Uh-oh, they need to move, though. They need to go right now. Run, Banelings. Go kill things. Voiders are like, wait, what the hell are you guys doing here? Well, this is going to be Massacre of the Protoss, or at least the attempt of it, because right now there are so many Banes. Clutch Force Field to disrupt the left side. Well, that set of Banes aren't doing much. Clutch Force Field on the right side too. Zoun. Oh no, there's a gap into the pylon, into the probe line. Banes from the top side as well. 28 probes dead, and we've got Banelings to spare. They're now going to go running toward the natural. Disruptor shot here forces the Banes to split away. They'll warp in a unit. The Banes can bust that down if they like, but that will be the end of the Banelings for now. 29 probes killed as again Dark just saying, if I can keep on denying your economy, I'm going to be otherwise okay at the moment. Army of Zoun pulls back down. Just going to see a few additional High Templar coming through. The +2 attack coming in. Killings on the left being picked away at as our Infestors are all continuing. Adrenal Glands coming up. I'm just going to be seeing how the Circling is going to run around the bottom right. The Feelings in the center. We're going to get the Cybernetics core. Ultra Cavern is going to start up and just going to be seeing our Fuelings morphing into Banelings, so they are going to end up being cancelled. Fuelings running away up the right-hand side. That one Baneling on the right is going to end up going down. Just going to be seeing our Zerglings all being picked off. Again, more Banes in the middle of the map. But Spines coming through, the Ultras Cavern halfway through, Adrenal Glands is going to be done fairly shortly. You know, for all the damage Dark did, it cost him so much to do it all. I almost wonder, you know, how much was it really worth? You'll get resources lost, and it's terrible for Dark, and that doesn't even include a lot of the Banelings that actually connect, right? Income advantage has been Dark favored, of course it has been. Why wouldn't it have been? But when you're trading that badly, maybe it doesn't matter at all. Bane's rolling in with the creep spread, are so speedy. They want to reach those Zealots though, and those Zealots are being kept back. So that's good control so far from Zoun as we get Ultras on the way from Dark. He got, I mean, we're at a point. He built Infest in the Asian Pit. He got the Infestor upgrade. He never got Infestors. Are we worried about that at all? Can Lingbane Ultra fight this army? Obviously, it never really turned out to be a massive air army. Yeah, there was Void Rays, but a lot of this has been the ground force, which the Ultras are now showing up to maybe help with. First Ultra melts, unfortunately, comes in from the wrong side. A counterattack. I mean, that's what Dark should keep on doing. His army is perfect for counterattacking. And the more counterattacks you pull off, the more damage you can do, the more you can slow down the Protoss, the more likely your army is eventually to overwhelm. But as of right now, I actually think Zoun might have the ground army just to come through and fight and kill this. I think he can actually make something happen here. A couple of Disruptor shots available, and few Banes do get into the center. Ultra's being blocked by Queens. Now remember, these Queens have transfusions for days, and that's worth keeping in mind because it means that these Ultras will just not die. As long as you're fighting near the creep and the Queens are able to be here, these Ultras are now going to chase off creep a little bit, and that's where it gets a bit scarier, but they didn't stick around with that plan for too long. Now they do turn it back to the top as a couple of Zealots swipe their way through this hatchery, so that is taking some shots here. As the Archons and the Void Rays putting some damage out. Queen's taking a bit of damage as well. 17 probes going down. Our Archons, our Zealots, our Void Rays still trying to make their way up through into the center, trying to push back some of these units as we have a counterattack of Zerglings also making their way to the bottom side of the map at the moment. It's kind of an interesting game because it felt like Zoun's ground army was good, but when you consider that the supply of Dark is also just kind of like these Ultras really don't die because of the transfusions, and it's like, oh, hang on a sec. That's where Dark's power really lies, but it means that Dark can't really be too aggressive either. The creep has been pushed back because all game long Zoun has been pretty aggressive and has had good presence on the map apart from against run-bys. So it's not like the creep spread is everywhere, so there is a limit as to how far Dark can go and fight, and that means that Zoun can kind of, to some extent, sit back and just say, well, the worst thing that can happen to my mineral lines is that a few Lings and Banes show up to it, or an Ultra or so. Outside of that, you know, at least I can fall back, mine comfortably, and keep on building an improved and better army. And this next army will be improved. Adding Immortals in, you know, 2 at a time is only going to immediately increase your effectiveness against those Ultralisks. And clearing those out more quickly is obviously only going to be a one-track way to having a much better time here in this series. Ultras going down. Zealots are being chased around by the Ultras as well. Let's end up coming out through into the center. We've got an Ultra rallying around. 6 probes have gone down so far. As Archons, Void Rays chasing Ultras out to the left-hand side. Going to see Ling Ultra making its way down the right. Now going to fight against a bunch of these Zealots. Zealots do not do well against Ultras. We are going to recall the army here. Super Battery is active, and these Ultras just have to back away. 2 probes going down. We're going to bring the Ling Ultra back on the left-hand side. We're going to lose one. These couple of Disruptors actually get really good connection. Don't know what happened to that Ultralist corpse. It went flying. Yeah, these Ultras just not able to stack up the damage as they really need to. Ooh, over here, a couple Ultras going down as well. So suddenly feels like Dark is losing a lot. Trying to make something happen when there just isn't anything there. I think for Dark, it's time to say, look, I can have him on the run. He can't break me. It's time for me to tech up into something better, something improved. And he's starting to maybe realize that now. Infest is on the way. Spire just finishing. I mean, he absolutely needs a way to fight against the carriers eventually. I just feel as though he could have done this a little bit sooner, maybe got a little carried away with the Ultras. I guess you got to try it first. In general, Zoun's defense this game has been very, very good. He's been making sure to always be somewhat on top of what's happening in these games. Move around the right side, the army comes in on the left. Disruptors aiming for the Queens. The transfusions go off on the Ultralists, keeping them healthy. Bungle there kept a few units locked in position as well. And that's the combination I thought we'd be seeing a little bit more of earlier, but it didn't happen. And now we're going to fight in once again. The Ultra's going to have a pretty decent surround this time. Blinding Cloud going to stop the units in the back from being able to take too much of a fight here. Disruptor shots coming through. This one goes off. I mean, these Ultras are just going to overpower. Jeez. I mean, for a moment or two, though, because then these Void Rays are actually getting kills and the Queens are running out of energy. Uh-oh. Do you have a ground reinforcement? Because if you have some Zealots and Archons right now coming in, this is actually going to be a cleanup. Oh, I mean, Zoun is just going to be so far down in supplies. Dark's rebuild is already well underway. And I mean, really well underway. That's going to be the biggest problem of all at the moment for Zoun. And Zoun's just down, I think, too much supply, taking a bit too much damage across the board. Disruptor shot flies, hits the couple of Ultras, fires another, hits an Ultra again. But now there are going to be Ultras everywhere, and even a couple new Archons in some trouble. Zealots do counterattack, that's kind of a little bit what you need. Try and buy yourself some time as, like I say, new Archons being chomped away at, though. Flings and Ultras picking away at the mineral lines. A couple carriers are starting to clean up, but of course we've got Corruptors on the way too, as Dark did make some preparations at least for the carrier play, for the proper Sky Toss coming online. And that just means that he can actually fight against those carriers because they're not going to have the proper support necessary to save them from a flood of Corruptors in the end. A very interesting game because it looked like Zoun's army, honestly, at points I really thought was going to be able to do it, but just wasn't able to. Just couldn't make it happen. Disruptors fire away, and oh, those Ultras taking massive shots again. Archon's going down. And carriers still firing up a storm as we see this one of more's like, I can kite my way to the victory! Couple of Disruptors protecting an Archon, but it just ain't enough, and we're going to Game 5 in this qualifying match as Zoun and Dark come head-to-head and really deliver game after game so far. Alright, in the top right-hand corner, our red Protoss player is Zoun. And taking on Zoun in the bottom left is going to be Dark. It's been a fun series, not really seen the same the same gameplay twice or anything, right? It's been different time and time again so far. And Star Probers here, so that hatchery is not going to go down on the natural location, at least. That will have to go elsewhere. Sorry, I'm trying to find someone's camera for the first couple minutes of the game. I like to stretch my legs. You guys should too. Make sure you stand up, walk around a little bit while you watch your StarCraft. Don't just sit there all day. Obviously, Zoun just expands. 2,000 atmospheres. I feel like we just go back into Stargate. I feel like we just play double Stargate again. I feel like we play double Stargate and we actually just play actually double Stargate. Like all the voids, we don't transition into that ground army. I feel like we maybe really try and play the carriers and stuff. Obviously, he tried to get that last game, but he did it off after kind of going into Grand Army for a bit as well. And I don't know if that's in part maybe saying, oh, look, like, you know, I'm playing here against someone who's playing Lings and stuff, and I want that Ground Army to help against those. That did make sense. I feel like if Dark lets Zoun then, if Zoun feels like the opportunity's there, that might be the call, but we'll wait and see. Cyber Call will be done soon, so we'll have an idea as to what at least the initial commitment is going to be, what the initial build is going to be here. So Warp Gate means Stargate. There it is, Stargate starting up. So again, obviously a big part of this now is just going to be, well, where do you go from this Stargate? What happens next? Movement speed is about halfway done here as well, so that's just been continuing along nicely. There's a couple more Lings just working their way down to the bottom left-hand corner of the map. And again, just checking in to see what else is happening here. There's our first Void Ray of the game starting up as well, so that's going to start coming through right now. Warp Gate come on its way. Well, Adept moves through and is just going to be coming in, trying to go after a drone or so, but not quite going to be able to find anything just yet. So that Adept ends up turning back around, going the other direction. Void Ray going to activate, Overlord going down. Remember, this is just the first Korean qualifier, everybody, so whoever doesn't qualify here still has, obviously, the chance in the next two Korean qualifiers, and they can even play the next two American server qualifiers as well. I'd be kind of surprised to see anyone in the that didn't make it, that was in a qualifying round today, not actually qualify in the end. A lot of this is almost just convenience of just being able to get your qualifiers done with, and you don't have to show up to any others, right? You can take a few days off. Plus one melee upgrade coming through, so getting set up there initially. Plus one air weapons, Void Ray in production. All of that already on the way out as we just get ourselves settled down. And here's just, again, melee upgrades so we can play that Balloon Nest, and that's the kind of style that Dark likes to be playing so far today, so that's always fun. I like it a lot, actually. Like I said, it definitely feels like it gives us a lot of fun action a lot of the time, so let's see how it continues along. Just going to be seeing our Forge, Twilight Council, all of this coming through at the moment, of course. A lot of setup here, as we do have our Twilight and Robo, so again, very similar to what we saw last game so far. Let's see if it switches up at any point. Just the timings from Zoun are pretty similar from Dark. There's a Road Strong coming through, but yeah, other than that, it looks pretty much the same up until now. We'll see maybe if he has a slightly different end game plan or something. That's always a possibility, so that's one thing to watch out for. But otherwise, I feel like we have a good idea of where this is going, because we just got to see a game just like it, right? So yeah, kind of, I mean, I'm not against seeing it again, because I really did think it was fascinating. Like I say, I think it's definitely one of the coolest styles you can see in this day and age in StarCraft and PvZ. Big fan. Alright, the hatchery coming along at the moment. That's just coming through as we see our Temple Archives is building as well. So again, that Temple Archives up and away, always going to be helpful. And I feel like this is already going to start their first counter-attack here. In terms of the map, do we like the map more for playing Ultras here? It does feel a bit more open almost. It feels like you've got more options where run-bys can come from and stuff. I almost feel like maybe I do prefer the map a little bit here as well, compared to the map we just saw before. Baneling speed and Roach speed on the way, so maybe we're going to just see a little bit more Roach focus, and I mean, that would be cool in itself, right? Just a few more Roaches on the map. Definitely something you could have some fun with, definitely something that could go pretty well. I get behind a few more Roaches and seeing how that plays out. So then it's more kind of Roachling Bane. You're still kind of, I mean, maybe these Roaches help secure you kind of earlier in the game. You go from there. But yeah, definitely a little bit of a different flavor to it to what we've had previously. As Dark's on 82 workers, I wonder how aggressive he wants to be initially, or if he's very happy to just sort of let this, you know, start being a kind of a much more passive game. See this army of Zoun around the bottom side. With Roaches up, this should never really be an issue for Dark. Because Spore Crawler taking some hits, mind you, does just about survive. I think Dark's been playing enough units here easily, convincingly, to be able to turn this around. Really should not be a problem in the slightest. He does start to push the Zealot Arc on Void Ray back up through the center of the map. So away that goes, chased out of here. Just going to be seeing the, well, extra Roaches all coming through. Dark is maybe just going to go straight across the map and continue chasing for a fight. Starts up Hive as well, though. I mean, I guess you're on 82 drones, so you're just going to keep building units no matter what. I guess I suppose if you really believe there's an opportunity for a fight here, and I mean, I can kind of believe it. I can kind of see it. You know, Zoun's been kind of switching from Voids to the ground army, but he hasn't got everything up and ready to go just yet. I'd say it's believable that you can maybe take an engagement or so. Zealots getting active, and they're going to start fighting this Roach Ling army, so getting into play with that. It's just, Zoun, one thing he never really had last game was a lot of the harassment. You know, it felt like that came in very late, so maybe trying to introduce that a little bit earlier into the game could be cool. He is just going to drop down double Stargate and the Fleet Beacon now, though, so he is saying, right, look, I see what you're doing, but I also know what I want to do here, and I'm not messing around. I'm going up to this tech. I am absolutely going to play that, and I'm going to play it hard. You know, follow me into it if you dare, or do something about it. You know, kind of, it's on you, Dark. How are you going to play against me going into my carriers and my late game tech in general? Two missile upgrades coming in, and we do have triple evolution chamber, so we can start at +3 melee now the Hive is done as well, if he has the gas for it at some point. I imagine at some point he will. Starts up Adrenal as the priority initially, though, so we'll take that to begin with. Meanwhile, those Zerglings are just having a bit of fun running around as well, so they're just looking to try and keep a 5th base from going up. Prism is still around on the left side, trying to find some openings, but nothing too wild at the moment. Carriers still in production, so again, a whole bundle of those carriers on their way up at the moment here, getting set to go. That's a lot of Banelings morphing into the middle of the map as well, as the Queen's coming through, pushing that Prism away. There comes a bit of a Roach Ravager Bane attack, and this is something which you're going to have to be, you know, well set up against. It felt like that Corrosive Battle could have been big. The Disruptor shot there is sizable against a few Roaches stuck in the front, and this is, overall, not the best trade in the world from Dark, losing quite a bit there, really. Hit Probes killed. I mean, I'd say freeing up supply, maybe? I mean, a lot more Lings on the way. Ultra's Cavern is on the way down. We seem pretty set in stone as to where we want to take this game as Dark, so... Oh, a few Banes getting caught as well. Just felt like that wasn't really the kind of damage he's looking for. That's a massive Disruptor shot. He kills one Disruptor that was just kind of trailing forward, but obviously it wasn't a Disruptor about to deal deal all the damage, so then it's kind of a bit of a shame, right? You kind of like, oh, well, good shot, but I mean, not really quite. I mean, you just took so much damage anyway, did it matter? Lings around 2 Immortals, and that's obviously great because it means you're getting rid of the anti-Ultralisk army already. And just with Adrenal, those Lings are just kind of deadly. Would love to see the 3-3 upgrades, though. Especially as we're going into the Ultras. I mean, it just makes perfect sense. Sure, it's on the list. It's just something Dog didn't think of. Specifically for the melee, I mean, he could have started the melee a while ago. The carapace and stuff just finished up now, so it's not like that's been delayed for a long time. It's been a good fight, actually. Corrosive Bowers going to get that disruptor? No, not enough of them. I wasn't sure just how many of them we had going off there. It's another nice fungal growth. The fungals have been great, and the Corrosive Bowers have been able to take real advantage on these fungal growths as well. As Zoun has just been extremely aggressive, really trying to force the issue, but now the Lings are streaming through. The Queens are going to chase down pretty much all of these units, right? A couple carriers go down. We are going to see one getting away, but uh-oh. This was absolutely a little bit of an overcommitment from Zoun. He stuck around when he shouldn't have done, and he's paying the price right now as he runs off out of there. But Ultra's on the way through. Feels like Zoun just tried to really maybe kill Dark before he got to Ultras, but Dark's army, you just saw, was able to really stand up strong and fight back, no issue. And you kind of left looking at that fight if you're a Zoun fan thinking, well, what was he actually looking to achieve? Because it looked so convincing for Dark, it really made the rest of the game, you know, like I say, it makes you wonder about kind of what, again, the overall plan might have been otherwise. A little bit of Dark's army being chased back. Dark ain't maxed out. That's one thing to note. He's only got 67 drones, and that actually might be a pretty big issue for him as we continue through. Only having that amount of workers does create a situation where you can't rebuild as easily in a composition that you're looking to really kind of rebuild with repeatedly. So that's a little awkward, actually, as these Zealots have a full surround on that Ultralisk. We'll see how well that turns out. More Lings counterattacking. Probes going down from Zoun. Now being brought below the worker count of his opponent, so okay. It's going to be seeing another Ultra or so taking some shots. Queen's keeping each other transfused, keeping everything up and alive. As obviously that's the power of this Dark army. Now Zoun's force has really crumbled once again. Very similar to the last game, Zoun still looks like he's competitive, still looks like he's doing alright. And then he just cannot kill these Ultralisks. He does not have the army for it. And I think in part just because Dark has played a pretty well-played game up until this point, right, where he's just kept everything busy, he's kept everything going. Now we've got a few Archons finishing up. They're going to come through and make their way along this left-hand side. Well, Roaches get picked off. I mean, Zoun rebuilding what he can. A lot of it's still somewhat caught up in production, though, which is a problem for sure. And trying to move through. We're going to have... Actually, he's just going to commit to this fight. He gets rid of one of the disruptors right away. The other hits an Ultra. I mean, it's okay. Like, it does do good damage. It's just the Ultra takes so much more to actually go down. And then there's a Void Ray and a Carrier left over at the end. You're kind of left thinking, well, does that really do anything at all? Cancels the base top left-hand side yet again. And we have just got ourselves an absolute... I think domination here from Dark right at this point on. There's just not much you can do as Zoun. Like, a few units show up. I mean, here comes some Ling Ultra. Some Ling Ultra. A swarm of Ling Ultra. And Dark is going to take this series 3-2 against Zoun. Very fun qualifying match in this best of 5. Very fun, very, very, very fun series. As Dark is really, the melee upgrade style really just worked wonders for him in these last couple of games. Really felt Zoun didn't quite have an answer to it. Didn't really feel like Zoun knew what he wanted to do about it. And unfortunately, just that leads to Dark winning the series 3-2. Fun best of 5.